Morning, everyone.
Good
Good
morning,
morning,
Rabbi.
Rabbi.
We're learning Mishnah is Erevin, Parak Ches, Chapter 8, Mishnah Hey, Mishnah 5. Okay. Now, Hamaniach Beisai, somebody who left his house, V'halach lishbais bi'ir acheres, and he went to spend Shabbos in a different city. It's very important to keep this in mind right now, that this part of the Mishnah is talking about that the person, he typically lives here, this is where he lives, he's going away for Shabbos. He's going away to another city. Echad Nachri v'Echad Yisrael. Whether we're talking about a Jew or a non-Jew, Harei ze Oiser, if he does not contribute to the Erev, he will make it forbidden for everyone else to carry. Divrei Rabbi Meir, there is Rabbi Meir. Let's review something. When two Jews share a chatzer, they have to make an Erev chatzeres, right? Mm-hmm. If there is a non-Jew living with them, then they have to rent his usage. They have to rent from him his rights of usage in the courtyard. That's the halacha. If one of the Jews does not participate in the chatzer, in the Erev, right, then no one can carry in the chatzer. Right? They all have to contribute and participate. If they didn't rent, if one of the goyim doesn't rent his rights, the Erev is no good. The case here is that the non-Jew or a Jew went away for Shabbos, and they didn't participate in the Erev because the guy went to a Shabbos. Yeah, he went to for Shabbos. It means he's not there, right? That maybe we have to start worrying about his rights in the chutzner to have to rent it from him, right? That's the question. The question is, if you're not there for you regularly live there, but you're somewhere in a different city for Shabbos, right? Mm-hmm. Are you still considered for that Shabbos a resident that we have to take you into account or not? Whether Jew to participate in the chutzner, whether non-Jew to rent his usage. So Rabbi Meir says, even if they're not there for Shabbos, they went to a different city, you need their participation. Even if he's not there for Shabbos, if he contributes to the Erev will work for everyone. If he doesn't, it doesn't work for anyone. And the same thing, if this guy is away for Shabbos, if you did not rent from him his usage, it's that the Erev is not going to work. Now, I mean his usage of the chutzner, of the courtyard. Rabbi Yehuda says, "Eino Iser." Nope, it doesn't forbid. According to Rabbi Yehuda, if you're not there for Shabbos, you're not considered a resident of that place for Shabbos, and you don't matter. Rabbi Yosi says, "Nachri Iser." If it's the non-Jew who went away for Shabbos and you didn't rent his usage of the chutzner, he will forbid. Yisrael Eino Iser. A Jew will not forbid. Why? Shein derech Yisrael lavai b'Shabbos. Because it's not common, or it's not usual for the Jew to come back on Shabbos. Meaning, according to Rabbi Yisrael, he says like this. The guy went away for Shabbos, right? But he can always come back, right? He can get on his, motorcycle and get back here, right? And so since he could always come back for Shabbos, so we have to deal with him, because if he comes back on Shabbos, we're going to be in trouble. So I don't know if either the explanation is you need him to participate because you need to rent from his space in case he comes back for Shabbos, or the pshat is since he could come back for Shabbos, he's still considered a resident. Either way, whatever the understanding is, the point is since he can come back on Shabbos, so then already we consider him a resident that we need to rent his usage of the chutzner. But if it's a Jew and he's in a different city, he's not going to come back for Shabbos. And I think the understanding is that even if, let's say, he could walk back, let's say it's not outside the tchum, right? But the point is, he's in a whole different city for Shabbos. He's not going to come back. Mm-hmm. The assumption would be he's not going to come back for Shabbos, and therefore, at the end of the day, the Jew who didn't participate in the Erev Chatzeres won't make a difference. But the non-Jew who's away for Shabbos, according to WAC, you need his participation. Mm-hmm. You need to rent from him his usage of the chutzner because of the fact that he could always come back on Shabbos. And the halacha is like Rabbi Yosi. That's what Rabbi brings down. Follow Rabbi Yosi's opinion. Now, Rabbi Shimon says, and this is this is the most lenient view. How could it be halacha like both? Okay, 1 second. Rabbi Shimon says, "Afilu heiniach beisay v'alach lishbeis eitzel bitay ba'isor ha'ir eino iser." Even if he leaves his house and goes to spend Shabbos by his daughter in that city, Eino Iser, he does not forbid. Shekvar Hisia Melibay because he has already dismissed from his mind any thought of returning. Now, as I said before, the first part of the Mishnah is talking about where you went to a different city for Shabbos. Okay? According to all the other opinions, if, let's say, you didn't go to a different city for Shabbos, you went to your cousin who lives down the block in a different chutzner, right? He lives in a different part of the city. Same city. Lives in a different part of the city. That's where you went to spend Shabbos. Okay? Or whoever you went to spend Shabbos. You have your daughter live in the same city, right? If you're in the same city, then according to all the first opinions, you have to participate in the Erev. Why? Because like Rabbi Yossi said, right? You can always come back. Not a big deal to come back. Rabbi Shimon goes as far as to say that if you went to spend Shabbos by your daughter in that city, meaning you're not home, you're not in this chutzner, you're in a different part of the city, different chutzner, and that's where we went to spend Shabbos, but it's the same city. Eino Eiser, you still don't forbid. Why? Because you've already dismissed from your mind that you're going to go home for Shabbos. You went to your daughter for Shabbos. You're spending Shabbos there. That's what that's a person's intent. So to say, well, maybe he's going to come back on Shabbos to his home, you don't got to be concerned about that. So, according to what Rabbi Yossi told us before, Rabbi Yossi told us that no matter what, a guy is gonna forbid. Nachri Eiser. The guy can always come back, even if he's in a different city. He could always come back. You got to make sure, even in a different city, you got to rent a space from him. Reb Shimon adds that if we're talking about a Jew, right? So everybody else said until now, only if the Jew is in a different city do we say he's not going to come back. Reb Shimon adds, no, even more than that. Even if he went to his daughter in the same city, but he's spending Shabbos by his daughter, you do not have to be concerned he's going to come back to his house and mess up the chutzner, or to be considered a resident of the chutzner. And that the halacha is like Reb Shimon also. So basically, what comes out is the guy who goes away for Shabbos, he got to rent his usage of the chutzner, of the courtyard. Got to rent it from him because he can always come back. But when it comes to a Jew, if he went to his daughter, even if it's in the same city, he doesn't have to participate because he's not going to come back home. Now, what's interesting to point out is, and the Bartanur points this out, the example is you went to your daughter.
Yeah, I know.
How about it? You went to your son.
Why should that make any difference?
Well, what makes a difference is, says the Bartanur, and this based on the Gemara, you may get into a little spat with your daughter-in-law, and then you're going to say, I'm going home. You find in the Gemara that there's a tension. That there's a tension, at least in those days, right? There's a tension between the daughter-in-law and her in-laws. Yeah. And therefore, if you go to your son for Shabbos, there is still the potential that you will be back home that Shabbos. And therefore, in that case, you will forbid on the people on the chutzner unless you participate in their chatzeris. It's only for your daughter that we say in the same city. If you're in a whole different city, fine. Then we assume you're not going to come back. But if you're in the same city, we're not going to assume you're coming back home to your house in chutzner if you go to your daughter, but not necessarily if you go to your son. And with that, we will end. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi.